In this segment, I'm going to take a look at the Edit Shape Nodes tool, and that's found up here on the left-hand toolbar up at the top. It says Edit Shape Nodes. And so what I'm going to do is select that tool. Now, what I'll need to do is select the shape that I would like to edit the nodes on. So for example, these are some of the shapes that I created using the freehand drawing tools. And if I go ahead and click on that shape, I'll select it. But the difference here is it's different than using the transformation tool where I could change the size or slant or rotation of the object. With this tool, when I select an object, I get to see the individual points that were used to create the shape, and I could actually select on those points and I could move them to a new location, or I could select on those points and delete them, take them right out altogether. I could insert a new point. So notice when I place my mouse along the little pink line, the outline of the shape, if I click now, I can actually, right click now, I can choose to add a node. Okay, and I can move that node. Now, the node that I created has the Bezier lines, and I could actually click on those arrows and control the shape of those arrows to control the shape of that line. And notice here, I can actually control one, like for example, the right-hand arrow, I can make longer than the one that's the previous arrow for the behind the node. So I guess you have in front of the node and you have behind the node, and you can move those to anywhere you want. So you can click on a node to move it. You can, now if a node, for example, this is a corner node, it doesn't have the little arrows that are normally used when we do Beziers. If I want to, I can right click over top of that node and I can choose to it is a curve. So what we need to do is actually look very closely, and there are those triangles, and if I want to, I can move them so they're very close to it actually. So those corner points that I made, remember I created this shape in a previous segment using the Bezier tool. So why don't we go ahead and do this? So why don't I find an empty piece of workspace, okay, and then we'll choose, first of all, choose the freehand tool. Just draw. So remember, with the freehand tool, I just click and drag to create my shape. And then, of course, depending on the smoothness level, so I'll right click to finish making this object, and you can see here the points that were created. There's the little white dots. So right now, the object is selected with the transformation box. That's the transformation. If I choose now Edit Shape Nodes, it will show me all of the nodes that were used to create the shape. So remember, I didn't insert these nodes, I simply dragged the shape, and then the software calculated where points needed to be placed. Now, if I want to enhance those, I can simply click on them, and you see here, there's the point that I can move, and here's the shape arrows that I can also move. And as always, if I place my mouse along the line, I could right click and choose to add a node. Now notice my node, it's a curved node. See, it has the two shape lines. If I want to, I can right click over this node and choose to make it just a straight line. And it makes it like it takes away the curve to it. So I can choose that. Again, right click over top of a node and just change, well, see now to curve, because I changed it to a line, I can change it back to a curve. So putting that curve back in again. So that's how you can change sort of back and forth between a curve and a line. It's from your over top of the nodes, you right click to get your secondary menu, and that's where you could choose to add another node, you could choose to delete a node, to add a line. So these are the different types of, I guess, choices that you have for controlling and editing your nodes. So I'm going to choose the Bezier tool now and draw another shape. So I'll just, but remember, with the Bezier tool, I need to click each time to insert a point, and I can click and drag to create a rounded point or to create my curve, and then I'll close my shape and I'll right click to let go. And I'm going to choose the Edit Shape Nodes tool. So now you can see that the points that are there are exactly the points that I created. So unlike the Freehand tool where we kind of click and drag the shape and the software decides where to put points, these are the points that I put in. And the corner points, like I was showing, they are actually, there are arrows that you could curve them if you wanted to, but the arrows are just put basically right on top of the shape, and that's why you get that corner. But if I wanted to, I could move them to get that, curve out of it. And on the ones that are curved, where I did click and drag, there's the click and the drag that I made, but I still have the ability to go in and shorten those lines or enhance them as much as I want to. So that's a little bit about editing shape nodes. Now I guess why don't we take a look at the third tool of drawing, which is the outline tool. So I'll draw another new shape. And here, if you remember, everything is curved right off the bat unless I hold it down my shift key, in which point I could get the corner points. And again, when I right click, or when I click over when I connect the ending point to the first point, it closes the shape, and I can right click to let go of that object. And so there you see it in the transformation option. So it's rectangular selection. But if I choose Edit Shape Nodes, now we can see all of the points. So for example, there's a point that I just created, and there's the shape lines, or the arrows that allow you to control the shapes. If I just simply click on them, I get those arrows and I can control them. So that's how it works, and that's what Edit Shape Nodes is for. It's our ability to edit shapes. Now, if you have a shape that we didn't create, so for example, I think I have some ovals somewhere on my screen. Oh, maybe not. Well, why don't we just go ahead and create ourselves an I'll create an ellipse. So notice now, if I choose Edit Shape Nodes, that I literally just have one node that was used to create this ellipse, and I could use that node to change the shape of the ellipse, but that's it. There's only one sort of shape node on that shape. Now, depending on what tool you use, and I'm going to go through all these different tools, but just as an example, if I use the star shape and go ahead and create a star, and then using the Edit Shape Nodes, you can see here that I have two nodes. One that I can use to control, I guess, the rotation of the shape, and then the second one I can use to control the percentage of the size of the rays. So if I change that, here you can see that it's actually changed it to be 34.2%, and if I click and drag the shape node, bring it out there, now we're at 76%. So that's how this Edit Shape Nodes works. So when you draw the shapes with these drawing tools, then you have a lot more shape nodes that you can then modify. But when you use other tools like the Create Shapes tools, then you also have these shape nodes that you can use to control those shapes. So that's the tool known as Edit Shape Nodes.